Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming, and good afternoon and welcome. Before we start, I would like to have the special guests from the Boston Police Department formally introduce themselves one by one.
Good afternoon, and I want to thank you for inviting the Boston Police Department here today. My name is Superintendent Bob Murner. I'm a superintendent. I'm in charge of investigations within the Boston Police Department, and we're gonna kind of talk about some of the issues that are affecting not only the Somali community but the rest of the city and how we deal with them. Some of the resources that we use, both from an enforcement end, intervention end, and prevention end, and make sure that everybody leaves here with some contact information. We answer as many questions as we can, and hopefully we have a fruitful afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Buckley. I'm a superintendent with the Boston Police Department. Currently, I'm the Commissioner's Chief of Staff. When I first stepped up to the microphone, this gentleman asked me to translate into Somalian. I can't do that now. Maybe by the time I leave, I could. But I just want to let you folks know that we're here to work for you, the police department, and with you, and correct any problems that may be coming up. So use us as a resource. We'll leave you contact information for any issues that you have, and we'll be available to help out. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Kelly Nee. I'm a Deputy Superintendent with the Boston Police Department. I work for the Boston Regional Intelligence Center. So what the BRIC for short. So what the BRIC does is we take crime data and highlight significant incidents so that we can deploy resources with the department to address those incidents as they are occurring. We are also a major urban area fusion center, and as such, we have relationships with the Department of Homeland Security.
Good afternoon. My name is Carmen Curry, and I'm a sergeant detective with the Civil Rights Unit. And what we do is we deal with victims who have been had their civil rights violated. And so we work with victims. We provide working with the DA's office to prosecute cases if the case goes that far, as well as working with a lot of law enforcement agencies, the Attorney General's office, the Suffolk County DA's office. We work with the Violence Recovery Program. So we're a resource for victims of hate crimes, as well as on the prosecuting end. We also provide training and workshops to anyone who's looking for a better understanding of civil rights.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Talbot. I'm a sergeant detective in the Boston Police Department. I work in Area A1, which covers downtown Boston and Charlestown. Primarily, we're responsible for all investigations into crimes that occur in that area. I'd like to thank you for having us here today. Obviously, our preference is to work with you to come up with a solution to deal with some of the issues that we have in downtown Boston and Charlestown. This wouldn't be my first stint working with the Somalian community. I used to be in charge of the school police as well as Deputy Superintendent Nee, and we worked diligently with the Somali community for issues with the kids, including truancy, dropout rates, and violence within the schools. So I look forward to working with you guys again, and thank you for having us.
Good afternoon. My name is Walter Mitchell. I'm a police officer in Area B2 in Roxbury. I'm also a board member of MAMLEO, which is the Minority Law Enforcement Officers Association. I've had the opportunity of meeting Ms. Jabril, and she's explained some issues that you guys were having with the police, and she's come to the organization to build a better relationship with the police and the Somali community.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Arthur Brewster. I'm a detective with the Boston Police Department. I also work down in District A1, also Charlestown. I'll be one of the people you more likely will be contacting, as well as this group of people behind me, Sergeant Detective Talbot. I'm also director of, board member of MAMLEO, chair. Hi, how are you? Glad you said something. But again, thank you for having us, and if you have any questions, I'm sure we'll be available afterwards. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Waa barnaamijkii Dayaan oo maanta idin daadihinaya kulan aad u culus oo dhex maray jaaliyadda reer Boston iyo ciidamada ammaanka ee magaalada Boston. Daawadayaal kulankan waxa soo qabanqaabiyay deeqa Jibriil iyadoo ugu tala gashay jaaliyadan inay wax uga qabato dhibaatooyinka badan ee haysta dadka Soomaaliyeed ee ku dhaqan magaalada Boston iyo nawaaxigeeda. Daawadayaal sida meelo badan laga ogyahay waxa faraha ka baxay caruurtii Soomaaliyeed oo ku dhaqan wareeray dhaqankii Soomaaliya oo guryaha yaala iyo dhaqanka waddanka cusub ee Mareykanka. Haddaba daawadayaal waxa sabtidii la soo dhaafay lagu qabtay kulan aad u ballaaran oo ah kii noociisa ay ugu horeeyay oo aysan marna ku guuleysan gudiyada jaaliyadaha ee ka dhisnaa magaalada Boston kulanka oo ay soo qabanqaabisay deeqa Jibriil oo adkaysa weyday dhibaatooyinka haysta qoysaska Soomaaliyeed siiba dumarka Soomaaliyeed iyadoo oo doonaysa in ay awoodeeda isugu geyso inay wax ka qabato dhibaatooyinka ka taagan magaalada Boston ee ku haysta jaaliyada Soomaaliyeed deeqaya iyadu waxa ay tahay gabar aad u firfircoon ruuxaantiina la xiriir aad u wanaagsan siyaasiyiin meel sare ka haysta gobolkan Massachusetts iyo wadankan Mareykanka sida John Kerryga madaxda ka ah State Departmentiga iyo Elizabeth Warren oo iyadu ah senator u matasha statekan golaha aqalka sare ee wadankan Mareykanka dabadaawadayaal kulankan oo ahaa kulan aad u ballaaran ruuxaantiina jilibka la isku aastay jaaliyada Soomaaliyeed iyo booliiska ama ciidamada ammaanka oo ruuxaantii aad u xirxidha ciyaalka Soomaaliyeed ee ay ku kaliftay in ay geystaan falal dambiyeedka oo ay madaxa ka xadaan dad iyagu aad iyo aad xagga maskaxda uga jiran oo u dhashay wadankan Mareykanka kana faa'iideysta dadka iyagu aan aqliga ku filan aan wali yeelan ama wali dhalaanka ah waxa kulanka daadihinayay Maxamed waxa aayadaha quraanka iyo isagana ku furay mijir waxaana kelmadii wacdiga ahayd ka soo jeediyay Sheekh Ismaan kadibna waxaa la gudagalay kulankii oo ay ugu horeeyeen isbarasho barnaamijkan waxa ay soo diyaariyay Abdullahi South Korea yani go Hussein Fin ee waa kan daawasho wanaagsan
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين صدق الله العظيم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته سلام كدب كلمة بالغير ماشا كجيدي الله وحوليه سبحانه وتعالى وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان إلى وحوليه وحاسكوك على الميستان وحكستو وناكسن إيا سمفل إن لسكوك على الميستو تنوحي كم التهي وحيابها إن اسكوك على الميسان أي تهي إن أنكوذ الشقينو وحي إنو دان أنا إسكا دافنو تفرارقا إيا إسكا هرماتك إيا إسكو فرحا قفضو وحكو دعو بريادو كو دعايا مركا وحكو فرح ديد مجرتو مركا سيدا درتيد وحان كوذ هاللين وأولادي يدا dadkii nala shaqeyn lahaana halkaan inuu joogaan laba arrin baan rabaa inaan ka dardaarmo oo kaliya kan hore waxa weeye annagu markaan wada joogno xaqiiqda aan isku sheegno maxaa yeelay haddaan annagu wax kala qarsanno waxba noo suurageli maayaan ثانيا إلهي أن كحرانه سبحانه وتعالى ودد إلهي كحران أن أهانه ثالثا وقضب أذق waxaan jeclaan lahaa hadda carruurtaan ka hadlayno waa carruur waaweyn kuwa yaryar iyagana hal la ilaaliyo waxyaabaha lagu ilaalin karaana waa laba arrimood midda ugu horeysa waa diinta islaamka in ilmaha lagu ilaaliyo tan labaad waa in luqadda Soomaaliga lagu ilaaliyo luqadda Soomaaliga waxyaabo badan oo aan dadku een dareemeyn oo faa'iido baa jirta cunuga Soomaaliga ku hadlaa inta badan inuu badbaadi u badan tahay hanuunka Ilaahay baa haya subhanahu wa ta'ala waxa dhacana aan wada jir u wada qabsano wixii inoo dano nolol sheegana aan siday tahay aan u raacno mesela dad baan hortaagan haday u arkaan xalka si annaga maskaxdeena qaadan karto inaan qaadano waxa dhici karta in la isku raaco mid labaad inaan annagu guddi iska sameeyno waalidiina deeqana way joogtaa guddigaas waalidiinta iyo deeqaha isku xiraadeen problemki soo kordha hal xaliyeen hal loo geeyo dadkan si xal looga gaaro halka ma aha in la xarak kaliya ma aha kuwa xiran arimood in laga hadlo kuwa jeebaysan in arimahooda laga hadlo kuwa mataqaana aan fiicnayn in arimahooda laga hadlo
annagu haddaana wax isku qabanna cid wax noo qabanaysa male taas horta qodobka hore ha laga dhigo midda kale sabti iyo axad keliya dugsiga qur-aanka ilmaha wax ma taraayo tan aan idiin sheegayo waxa waaye ha loo badiyo waqtiyada ilmaha yaryar ha loo badiyo maxaa yeelay waa laga tanbadinaya hooyada oo guriga ka ah waayeel waxaan kula dardaarmayaa inay ilmaha luqadda Soomaaliga ay barto ilmuhu Soomaali waxay ku yihiin waa luqadda ee jismiga ma ah dawlado badan oo aan isku egnahay baa jira oo aan laga garanayn cunuga hadduusan Soomaali aqoonin waxa waaye wax lagu hadli kara ma jirto adigana ha isdhibin oo waxaad aqoon ha isku mushkiladaynin ingiriis jaba hala aadin aksan ahaan baad isku fahmayninaba aksan ahaan mar haddaa isku fahmi weydaan wax uu ka qaadanaya male laakiin luqadda haddaa barto saa doontaad ugu hadli kartaa saa doontaad u canaanan kartaa saa doontaad wax ugu sheegi kartaa marka muhiimada waxa waaye dadkan maanta naloo marti qaaday aad iyo aad baa horta ballanqaadkan aad buu u fiicnaa dadkan naloo ballanqaaday waxa weeye waxyaabihii danaheena inaan kala hadalno guddi dhexdeena oo sharciyada si fiican u yaqaan inaan iska saarno guddigaasna inuu deeqo mataqaana uu la xiriiro deeqa iyo guddiga isku xiranna ilaa deeqa dadkaan noo keenta annagu ma naqaano aan arrimaheena ka dhaadhacsano sidaasaa igula muhiimsan wabillahi tawfiiq wasalaamu calaykum waraxmatullahi wabarakaatu.
Good afternoon, shalom. I want to thank each and everyone for you to come here. This gathering means a lot to us. A special thanks to Boston Police and Marianne who got this space for us to meet. Today's focus is for us to start conversation. So today's gathering is for us to start conversation, for us to start a dialogue. It's no longer, the Somali community, those Somali community is no longer, oh, those police guys who are just there to arrest our kids. We want to have a dialogue. Somali Americans are the fastest immigrant growing in Boston. Massachusetts is the largest 9 immigrant states in the country and is the largest the 9 largest Muslim citizens. So how do we develop a voice? How do we stay in the same page? How do we work together? I am a person of Boston. They are people of Boston. You guys are a person of Boston. How do we lead one another? Instead of working against each other, how can we lean? So I just want to demonstrate a scenario. I made it up last night, so bear with me. Muhammad is great. You know what? I'm going to call this guy named Muhammad. This one, it's not working. What we want, okay? Give me a common American name. I know common Muslim name is Muhammad. Everybody's Muhammad. My middle name is Muhammad. Half of these guys are Muhammads. So I'm gonna call Muhammad. Thank you, my darling. Thank you. James, thank you. You know American names. I was gonna call John. I guess we have James. So Muhammad, how old do you guys want to make Muhammad? Make him 19. Muhammad was born in a place called Somalia. The capital is Mogadishu. Okay? Muhammad is 19 years old. The country had a civil war the last 20 plus years, since 1991. So Muhammad was born into a civil war. All right? His parents got lucky. When Muhammad was 5 years old, they went to Kenya as a refugee camp. All right? In the refugee camp, Muhammad's parents got lucky and got a chance to come to a country called United States of America, the land of opportunity, the land of brave, the country that welcomes hundreds of immigrants each and every year, the country that we're very grateful. So in the USA, Muhammad got a chance to come to Massachusetts, my favorite state, the spirit of America. So now Muhammad 15 years old. All right, when he got to Massachusetts, Muhammad was 15 years old. Muhammad is in Boston. His parents take him to Boston public schools. And how they assess immigrants, another issue itself. Muhammad is 15 years old. Society tells Muhammad you have to be a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken, right? Based on his age. But Muhammad missed the schools while he was traveling this uncertain journey. The refugee camp, he didn't have a formal education. In Somalia, he didn't have a kindergarten and preschool and first grade. It's all about survival. Education is not an optional. So you put Muhammad at English high school, my favorite English, because I went there. So Muhammad is at English high school. without knowing a word of English. All of a sudden, Muhammad is with mixed children. This is what our country is based on. It's immigrant, nation. You see everyone. So Muhammad is taking ESL with Chinese American, Dominican American, another Somalian American. Long story short, Muhammad learns English within 2 years. So now Muhammad is 17 years old. All right? What do you do when you learn English? You want to be cool? What do cool people do? They miss classes. So Muhammad wants to imitate cool people. He's going to miss classes. Next thing you know, they're hanging around in Forest Hill. Because in Roxbury Crossing, there's a large Somali community. His mom will find out she missed the school. If the school called his mom, they can't communicate. The mom doesn't speak English. I'm just making the scenario. I'm not speaking any mothers here. So Muhammad is going to hang around in Forest Hill. Most of his days, he wants to hang around with, or what is the nicknames? Biggie, Smokey, Shorty. So next thing you know, Muhammad got a new name. His name has been Americanized. His new name is Mo. He goes by Mo. So Mo and his friends decided that they're not making money at Forest Hill. Where are they going to go? Boston Commons. So Muhammad and his friends hanging around this historical park. We all know Boston Common because we took the citizenship test. I know more American history. So this park means a lot in the country, not just as Bostonian. So Muhammad and his friends, they get high, they want to act tough. All of a sudden, they chasing a rich white woman who's walking down the park with her dog. I take my 4 little kids to skating. They want to come after me too, because they're not going only after Americans. The cab drivers at night, they can't go there, because they want to pick on the cab drivers too. Him and his friends, they don't care who they pick, as long as they pick on somebody. So long story short, Muhammad gets in trouble. Muhammad is in deep, lack of better word, shit. Sorry for my Somali. So when Muhammad, poor Muhammad, he's naive. He doesn't know the systems are placed and how many strikes he has. Who's Muhammad? Muhammad is black. That's one strike itself. We all know it. Muhammad is also immigrant. Whoa. Immigration is like a fruit. What type of fruit is he? He's a black immigrant. He's not an Irish immigrant. He's not an Italian immigrant. He doesn't have a blonde hair and blue eyes. So Muhammad is African. East African, where is that? Is that where starvation happened? Is that where they abuse women? That's the myth. I'm just exaggerating, guys. So Muhammad, second strike is he's Somalian. Third strike is language barrier. Muhammad only been to this country 2 years. Can he defend himself? No. He does not speak English fluent. That's another barrier. Ooh, you guys ready? I'm gonna bring the elephant in the room. You guys ready for me? Muhammad is Muslim. I had a friend, I took a leadership seminar. When she says Muslim, her shoulder would move. She would say, Muslim. So we had to travel to Israel. I went to Rabbi. I said, Rabbi, I'm getting offended. Did you notice when she says the word Muslim? I'm saying it in a peaceful way, but she's putting it in more negative, Muslim. And he said, you know what, she's a good person. Why don't you get to know her, DJ, one-on-one? Have a coffee with her. It's like you go to a boss, you complain, and then he tells you to solve the problem. Why are you my boss if I'm solving the problem? Why is he the rabbi who put, an atheist and a Muslim and a Jew and a Christian together to work in a social justice seminar? Long story short, we had to go to Jerusalem, so he made me sit with her. We went to Boston to Philly, from Philly to Jerusalem, 13 hours straight flight. He made me sit next to her. And I had to sit in the middle. And then when I got there, the hotel, guess what? I find out we were roommates. I went to the hotel and I said, what is this? Small, I'm American, Somalian, everything has to be supersized. The bed was small, the sink was small, the food, everything is just small. Next thing I know, she comes in with her luggage. I'm like, thank you. But now we are great friends, long story short. Because we both had our own fears. So Muhammad is a Muslim, all right? We all know what's like to be what? What did the Americans say? Driving while black? Well, guess what? We experienced living in America while being Muslim. That's what we need to add on the dictionary after 9/11. Each and every one of us sometimes get picked on based on how we dress. Lieutenant Carmen, you run the Civil Rights Department. I didn't know there was such a thing, Civil Rights Department, until I needed it. I was walking Roxbury dressing like this. Sometimes I'm Americanized, I wear my jeans and hat. You won't tell I'm a Muslim. So when I'm wearing this dress, I had rocks thrown to me. You Somali, dirty, nasty, go back to your country. My kids were born at Brigham. I'm a woman. I came here at the age of 10. I'm a person of Bostonian. I know the streets of Boston more than I know in Mogadishu. I mean, at the age of 10, what can you remember? You know, I am still in my, 50s. Just kidding, in case you can't tell. So, long story short, Muhammad is a Muslim, right? Let's talk about James. I talked about Muhammad and then how many strikes he has against him. James is, he was born in Boston. He's Bostonian. His father is well-known police officer. He went the best Catholic school. He came from a wealthy neighborhood. Muhammad and James, they live in different worlds, but their path will cross. James is in charge A1. In case as Somalian don't know, that's the police station in Boston Commons. James' job is to control Boston Commons. So James, all of a sudden, he's gonna get what? An email saying Somalis are terrorized in Boston Commons. So James is a smart guy who went to Princeton. You know what is he gonna do? He's gonna Google Somali. When he Googles Somali, what is he gonna see? Civil war, Al-Shabaab, radicalization, starvation, 1991 group of Somalis being coming. Is that where Somali history began? No, we had a history before the Civil War. We had a history, whatever craziness going on in Mogadishu, Somalia had a history. He doesn't have time to research, so he's gonna call group of expertise. Okay, this is his expertise. He's gonna call guys like my new friend there, Superintendent Bob. All his expertise, none of them are Somali. So how are you gonna solve this problem? Officer William will say, you know what? We dealt with the Dominicans, we dealt with the Covarians, we dealt with the Haitians, the immigrants. Let's deal with them the same way we dealt with previous. No, banana and apple, they don't have the same taste. What worked in the Haitian community will not work in my community. So how are we gonna solve this problem, guys? James is under pressure. Beacon Hill got money and they vote. That's why when I tell you guys the importance of voting, politicians will pay attention to you. So they got money, they vote. Before the news picks up, we have to solve this mess that Somalia and our youth are causing. Muhammad, who calls himself Mo, he's having identity crisis. He's not accepted in Boston, and he cannot relate to what's happening in Somalia, the tribal complex, the Al-Shabaab crazy radical groups. So what is he gonna do? Did anybody ask what Muhammad is feeling? I'll tell you what Muhammad is feeling. Muhammad is feeling frustrated, isolated, alienated. Muhammad is helpless. Muhammad is vulnerable. So if I'm an evil woman, we all know that they are criminals who are motivated. Same way we're motivated to make a change and help each other, there are criminals out there who are motivated to commit evil stuff. So if I find Muhammad is vulnerable. Muhammad would listen to me. If I'm, what is the guy name they were making a movie, Bulger? If I'm like Bulger, he can be the next one, God forbid. If Muhammad can be, whatever evil you want to commit, Muhammad is vulnerable. He wants to belong somewhere. In this culture, he's not accepted. In Somalia, he can't relate to it, so he's in a mess. Well, how is James feeling? James is frustrated too. He's under pressure. He got bosses to report to. He has to solve the Boston Commons. So how are we gonna make Mo and James work together? James wants to make the commons safe. He also wants to make his soldiers safe. Each and every police that James sent to Boston Common, his job is to make sure they go home safe. We want to make Boston safe too. Boston is our city. So how do we work together? Mrs. Carmen, I'm going to put you on the spot. I experienced hate crime. I am a woman who came here at an early age, who have been Americanized, who is the founder of the African Council, organization that empowers Africans. There are 75,000 Africans in Massachusetts. I worked gubernatorial Patrick's campaign. I was offered a job in Florida to help Obama mobilize an immigrant community that was not only Somali, a mixed immigrant community. I worked with Elizabeth Warren as a field organizer. I started a business called African Mall, subleasing 6 established business in 1127 Hadashaa Ave. I know how to navigate the system, how to not only my needs, but my community needs. When I had teenagers throwing rock to me, I felt helpless. All of a sudden, this woman who's powerful, she worked hard, she's politically connected, I didn't know what to do. So imagine the woman that does not speak English. She needs to know her rights. We need training. So that way we know our rights. If a police officer comes to us and he offended us, how do we know we can report complaint? You know, how do you teach your department to be diversified and sensitive with us? You know, when I ask you to start food, the man went first. It's cultural. You know, we're not offending our woman. This is how back home is. So how do we understand each other? Going back to James, James and his expertise are putting more money in Boston Commons, because Boston Commons, like I said, is the governor's office, our politician's office. There are people with money. There's another group called Beacon Hill Civic Association. All of that, all the money that you put in the park, put it back in the community. His children, they listen to us. They're our children. Same way you love your kids and you want the best for your children, we want the best for our kids. 1/3 of the mother here, their sons have been arrested. For what? Minor stuff, things that we can work together. You know, I want to make Boston safe. They want to make Boston safe. You want to make Boston safe. Let's make Boston one community. Back home, we say it takes a village to raise a child. Let's make Boston that village. Boston can be that village. I understand when James is in deep pressure. People in Beacon Hill, they don't care if Mohammed is connected with service or not. They'll say, take the problem out of my backyard. They don't have time. But if you give Mohammed an outreach, if you reach to us, we can solve Mohammed. Mohammed is one of us. Mohammed is feeling isolated because in Somali culture, you can't wear baggy jeans, saggy jeans, and walk like you're limping. When we see him, we say, what's wrong with you? We're looking down on him. We need to work, we need to help him. So how do we do that? We can help him by providing services that he needs. That's why my organization reached out to you. This issue been going on the last 10 years. Have you seen a Somali organization reach out to you? No, because I'm tired seeing mothers crying to me. I don't want my children to be the next victim. So how do we work together? How can we build a strong foundation? How can we diversify your police station? I have Somalis who fought in the Iraqi war when Senior Bush was there. They couldn't make it to the police station. They applied. I have guys who have a master's degree in criminal justice. They can't get to the police station. Why not? Don't you know this problem can be solved if you have a police Somali officer easily than dealing with Caucasian officer? We need Somali American police officers. Do you know what happened in Minneapolis and Toronto? You know what they have in common? Group of Somalis went back home to Mogadishu and commit suicide bombs. And the police in Minneapolis and Toronto learned the hard way. Unfortunately, each and everyone learns the hard way. So now they pay attention to the Somali community. I'm asking Boston Police Department, let's not wait until something happens. Let's work together. We all want to make Boston safe. And let's put, Beacon Hill already got money. Let's put the money back into the community. This problem will be solved. When I came to this country, Dudley, oh, it was a scary place. There was not a lot of Somali. A few of us that were here, we were scared to go there. And now, Dudley, it's a paradise. What it used to be before. You know? So now, Boston Commons, right? You guys did a phenomenal job in Dudley. Roxbury is changing. Let's do that phenomenal job together at Boston Commons. You know, those mothers are helpless. Let them, do you think they brought their kids to be arrested and be in jail because they have all these strikes against them? Oh, what did he do? He stole an iPhone, or he broke a hand? Give him 2 years of jail then. They brought their kids here so they can get a better opportunity. Some of them never went to school because their grandmother never went to school. Women are not allowed to go to school. Long story short, they want to give their kids the best education. So let's give Mohammed the services he needs. Mohammed has the potential to be the next Governor Patrick. Mohammed has the potential to be the next Marty Walsh. So let's make Mohammed a proud Mohammed for all of us. We have many choices to make. You know, we could ignore it and put a band-aid where the wound is and keep arresting our kids. Or we can be part of the problem, both of us. We can hate the police officers for arresting our children, or we could solve it together. So I'm looking collaboration. I'm looking very devoted to work with you. We need help. That's why we reach out to you. We don't want to see our kids ending up in jail. So how can we work together? You need our help. We need your help. Let's be a family.
Good afternoon, and very telling video. I'm going to agree with a lot of things that were said here, and I'm going to disagree with about 40 to 50% of it as well. And I know sometimes that can be unpopular, and not necessarily disagree, but talk about some of the issues that arise. First off, I agree 100% that the police department has to reflect the community. And if we don't have Somali officers, and one of the things that I did yesterday was I went to Human Resources to see if we had any Somali officers in the Boston Police Department to assist me here, and we don't. So that clearly is something that 100%, and just so you know, Superintendent Buckley is here. He's the Chief of Staff for the Police Commissioner. He's here representing the Police Commissioner, and we already spoke about that's an outreach thing, that's something for recruiting, and 100% the law enforcement community has to be reflective of the overall community as well. If you notice on the video in the lower right-hand corner, as the video was playing, it said ceasefire. Ceasefire was invented here in Boston. And just to give you an idea of how things work, and if you take Muhammad out of it, and I agree that we can't police the Somali community the way we police the Cape Verdean community, the way we police the Dominican community, the way we police the Italian community, the way we police the Irish community, on some fronts. And on most fronts, we absolutely can police the entire community the same way. And I think that's what you're looking for. So when we started this concept in Boston, in 1990, we had 152 homicides in the city of Boston. By 1995, we cut it down to 33. And no one under the age of 18 was murdered for over 2.5 years. And that was a result of operations that were put in by folks right at this table. It was ceasefire, it was nightlight, it was home front, and when Deputy Nee and Sergeant Talbot get up to speak to you, they'll talk about some of the things where we can extend some of those programs to include the Somali community. When we go to home front, we go to the homes of the youngest children that are just starting to go the wrong way. We will bring with us members of the Somali community. If the Imam wanted to come, or if we wanted to do a walk along in Boston Common and kind of see firsthand the things that are going on. You mentioned the Dudley Triangle area. It's very near and dear to all of us. I grew up in Mission Hill, and every Saturday at that time, my mother didn't drive. She never drove a car in her life. But she would put 5 of us in tow, 4 boys and 1 girl, and we walked every single Saturday to Dudley Street. That's where we shopped. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends owned Solfaro Shoes, which was right on Washington Street. It's right where the Chinese restaurant is on Washington Street. Unfortunately, Mr. Solfaro was murdered during a robbery when I was playing Little League. I was 11 years old. But Dudley changed dramatically 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. So I know what she's talking about. It got to a point where I grew up in Mission Hill. We walked to Dudley, we shopped at Robel's, we went to Bradley's, we went to Solfaro Shoes, and then it got to a point where, because of the color of my skin, I was not allowed to walk down to Dudley Street. We were not allowed to shop on Dudley Street, and we felt that basically what we got from the police was, well, why are you coming here? Well, that was the closest place to shop. So it goes very cyclical, and now as we were talking, Dudley has been transformed. But Dudley has been transformed because of some of the things that we're talking about here. When we started to look at the problem, we realized that the Boston Police couldn't do it alone. It wasn't our job to do it alone. We needed to enlist the community. And the first thing is enforcement. If there are folks out there that are breaking laws, committing crimes, violent crimes, we need to remove them from the community. That's the first part of community policing. But the key element that we put in the 90s was the intervention and prevention part. When there was folks like we talked about who are committing some crimes that are on the fence, then we bring them in. We have a sit down with them, we meet with probation, we meet with the courts, we meet with the district attorney's office, and they have the opportunity to fly right, and we'll help them and offer them services, or if they want to continue breaking laws, then they're going to get the same type of services, but they're going to get them in jail. And the last part was prevention. The youngest siblings, the youngest children, we need to reach them early on so that they start learning from a very early age that the police are not to be mistrusted. And we dealt with a number of these same issues in the Cape Verdean community, and I'll just give you an example. When I first started to work in Area B in 1986, the Cape Verdean kids were basically victims of the American black and the Hispanic gangs that were taking place there. They all came from two-parent families. They all went to school. They were going to public school, but they were dressed as if they were going to parochial school. They'd have blue slacks on, or khaki slacks, a blue or white collared shirt, and they were going to public school. And it was only a matter of time before they were set upon by the gangs that were operating in the area. And they had two options: either continue being victims or to become their own gang themselves. When we started to do some intervention, and this is where the language barrier really comes into play, when we went out to the houses to visit with parents, the older siblings would do the translation for us. And what they were doing was they were telling the parents that the police were there because they were being too strict with their children and that they couldn't do that here in America. And I think those are some of the things that are and when I say half right and half I disagree with, that's not completely different just because they're Cape Verdean. I'm sure that you're getting certain information from your children telling you, you can't discipline me that way in America, the police will come, they will discipline you. So we want to make sure that everybody understands what their rights are, that they have friends here with us. We will help you if there are people that need to be removed from the community who are not only preying on the community at large, but other members of your Somali community. We will take them out of the community. That doesn't mean they're thrown away forever, because this happened with every single immigrant group that came to the United States, whether they were Italian, Irish, Jewish, Haitian, Dominican, Jamaican. They come and there are members of the community that break the law. But that doesn't mean that that is how the overall community will be treated. So we use a three-prong approach: enforcement, but the two biggest prongs are intervention and prevention. How do we get in and save those kids or teenagers that are involved in some issues that they're starting to head down the wrong road? And then how do we teach our youngest people that they don't want to get involved at all? We have a lot of those programs already existing. We don't have to invent it. What we have to do is make sure that the Somali community feels welcome and that we plug everybody in. And just in closing, and I don't want to take up too much time because we have a few speakers here, but I ate the food. I ate the Ethiopian bread. I'm running a half marathon tomorrow, so I expect that I'm going to be about 30 minutes faster than I normally do. But I will answer any questions now, or if you would like.
You ate with your hands too.
And I ate with my hands, yeah, no fault. Huh? Always. I always eat with my hands. Yeah, the food was excellent. But I can answer any questions that you have relative to that, or we can have some of the other speakers come up and talk about things. And one of the things that Deputy Nee will talk about, I'm just going to ask Superintendent Buckley to get up first, is kind of what we're seeing, the type of crime. that the Somali youth that we're dealing with are involved with, where it's taking place and what they're doing. But I just asked Kevin Buckley to come up first.
Good afternoon again, and thank you again for the food. It was excellent. A little bit spicy on these things here, but it was very good, very good. I think one of the key things we have to bring back is we have to work together as a community. I think the imam talked about working together on a committee. That's something that we should look at once we leave here today. Just to open up the lines of communication so we're all on the same page.
Thank you.
Okay. And again, as I said earlier today when I first said hello, we're here to work for you. That's what the police department does, and with you. So feel free to exchange with us on any level. One thing I will bring back to the police commissioner is the need for outreach in the Somali community, and maybe to explain a little bit about how the civil service system works. In order to get onto the police department, you have to take a civil service exam. You then come on a list, and then you can be hired by a municipality, a city, if you will. So what we have to do is to have an outreach into the Somali community for some of the young men and women to actually take the exam and then be hired by the police department so that you can become part of it. And I'm not going to say much more because we have a lot of talent at the table here that's going to come up. So if you want, we'll do questions at the end.
Yeah, we'll do questions at the end, yeah.
Okay.
I'll just take the microphone. I want to thank you and Superintendent. I also want to inform you that we have Somalis who have taken the civic exam, haven't heard. So I'll follow up with you to see where they are in the system, because I do want to see Somali American next year.
That'd be great. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much. Lunch was fabulous, although some of my coworkers here told me I was supposed to wait and get my dinner after them. I'll remember that next time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure I'm not going to tell you something that you don't already know, but based on some information that we have through the Intelligence Center, and these are, I'm not going to give you statistics, I'm just going to give you generalities, but these are generalities based on when these people are being arrested, they're self-identifying as being Somalian or born in Somalia. So in the Alston-Brighton area, which is not that far from here, I don't know if any of you are from here. So what we have is some young folks involved in burglaries, that's breaking into people's houses or businesses, larcenies and street robberies. They're known to target college victims, because we have a big college community over here, so some of those kids are being targeted. Also involved in some very sophisticated check fraud schemes, and I think Mike Talbot can talk about that a little bit. And this isn't unique to the Somali community. Criminals are criminals no matter who they represent, you know. Involved in some drug use and small-scale drug distribution around the Boston College area. Involved in some larcenies of laptops from the library over at Boston College. We've had some reports of that. You're all very familiar with what's going on with the downtown crossing and the Boston Common. Larcenies, shoplifting, street robberies. The Boston Common, we've had a lot of robberies in there, unfortunately. A lot of fights and assaults, people being assaulted walking through, whether it's being as a result of a robbery, but we have folks being assaulted as they go through the Common. Again, some check fraud schemes. This is also downtown. Some small-scale drug distribution. The resale of stolen electronics and cell phones and laptops. That's a big issue for numerous criminals, definitely not just Somali offenders, but down in the downtown area, there's a lot of resale of stolen cell phones, stolen laptops, things that people might get in a housebreak or in a theft. The Lenox area in the south end, the Lenox housing development, there's been some street robberies there, again some small level drug distribution, and in the Back Bay Fenway there's been involvement in larcenies and shoplifting. Again, I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's not unique to the Somali community. We have offenders of every race, both genders, all over the place, but these are some things that people who were arrested, who self-identified as Somali, have been involved in what they've been arrested for. So I think we're going to hang on to questions until the end, and if you have any, I'll be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Just one of the most important points that I left out, and I thought of it as Deputy Nee was speaking, is she made a point, this is not unique to the Somali community. This is every community, and folks need not be embarrassed. They need not be embarrassed that their children are involved in crime, because there is not one of us here that don't have friends or family or others close to us that cross the line. This is not unique to the Somali community. Irish break the law, Italian break the law, Dominicans break the law, Jamaicans break the law, Asians break the law. So you need not be embarrassed, but you need to work with the police so that we can help solve this problem.
Thanks again for having us. The food was great. Again, I'm Michael Talbot. I'm a sergeant detective assigned to Area A1 downtown. Before I get into Area A1, I'm more on the enforcement side of things. We do the investigations, we get involved in some community outreach, but a majority of our work is doing investigations on solving crime. Prior to doing that, I used to be in charge of the school police. Like I mentioned before, we had a terrible problem at English High School with the Somalian kids getting beaten up on their way to school at Forest Hills. So we worked with the community. Unfortunately, that should have continued. In the school police, there's as the superintendent had mentioned, there's a program called Homefront. What Homefront does is it takes somebody, a member of the clergy, and we have all walks. We have Muslim, we have Catholic, and we have mostly Baptist ministers. We go out, we identify, or the school department identifies kids that are having issues. They're on the borderline of committing crimes, on the borderline of dropping out of school. The clergy go with the family. They have a unique ability. One is to be able to communicate with the parents. Most of them will speak the language, so in your case, they would speak the Muslim language and be able to communicate with you. So ideally, what we'd like is for you to identify a member of the clergy that you think would be willing to drive along, and I'm sure Superintendent Murn and Superintendent Buckley can arrange for them to now become part of Homefront, which will bridge that gap. I can tell you when you... Up here you talk about Mo, and you talk about Mo at the age of 15. From the school department perspective, I can tell you, age of 15 is too late. We're losing kids at 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. Truancy, back in 2007 when I was in the schools, I did a research relative to homicide victims under the age of 19. I did this because a lot of times we focus on kids being the suspects in crime. We did it opposite. We looked to see what the victims of crimes were. When we looked at the percentage in 2006 for the people that were victims of homicide under the age of 19, 90% of those kids were either truant or they were dropouts of the Boston Public Schools. The two kids that weren't were innocent victims in drive-by shootings. So what that said was that education leads to victimization, the lack of it. So, you know, that's where you really got to work with the school department, with the police department, especially at home, to make sure your kids are in school and they stay in school. And that's what we're here to help with. And certainly, I'm more than willing. I'm downtown Boston, and I'm also in Charlestown. If members of the community want to come out with us, Detective Hall Brewster, we're willing to go down there. Sometimes what happens is people, they go in, you mentioned it, you said that they didn't go to Dudley because they knew there were people that would recognize them. Roxbury Crossing, they would recognize them in Roxbury Crossing, but they wouldn't in Forest Hills. Well, guess what? If you come down to Boston Common and they see you, they won't be there committing crime. They'd be more reluctant to do it, and then we can get outreach down there. So, you know, we'd like to work with you. And as far as downtown Boston and the Commons, as Superintendent Murna spoke, he talked about the crimes. We ran programs, intervention and prevention programs, where kids, in lieu of getting criminal charges, would have something hanging over their head in schools, and that's program still in effect in the schools. The problem is when crimes become so violent that the victimization, imagine being a woman being attacked by 4 or 5 people, crimes like that can't be overlooked. So that's what Superintendent Murna is talking about. We wouldn't allow it to happen any place. So that's where we have to address those. But little things like shoplifting and things that we can do, we can have a little lever over their head to use some of that, and we'll be more than willing to work with them. You definitely want to get your community in touch with the school police, because they're a vital resource with everything going on. But anybody has any questions or anything, let us know.
Again, I'm Detective Arthur Hawk Brewster, and I work at downtown Boston with Sergeant Detective Mike Talbot. I think it's important that when we leave here today, that you'll have a contact with someone here on this panel or with the Boston Police Department. We'd be more than willing to give you our phone numbers. I don't mind giving out my cell phone number. Mike can tell you I give all my victims, suspect, everyone my cell phone number. If I can make a difference, I will. But at the same time, it's very serious because there are very serious problems throughout the city, and we're trying to address them all. And as you well know, it's extremely busy out here. And I want to thank you personally for reaching out to the Boston Police Department. Great job. And as well as reaching out to Mamleo. I think that's really important. That you have a non-profit organization, you're reaching out, we're trying to do the very same thing. And I think that what I would like to do is to probably invite the Somali community to Mamleo. We can sit down and dialogue and have additional conversations about these issues that's important to all our children. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for having us here. I just want to honor her for putting this together and just becoming that voice for the Somali community. And for all of you who have come out to be that voice, we all need a voice, and I think this is really the greatest thing ever to gather and to all come to the table to begin to dialogue on how do we problem solve these issues that we're seeing in the Somalian community. It's all about partnership and it's all about communication. Again, I work for the Civil Rights Unit, and what we do is really when victims become victims of hate crimes, that's when my unit gets involved, and I'm here to provide any kind of training, education, so that you understand what your rights are in this community, what your rights are in Boston, and how sometimes we have victims who are targeted because of the way they look, the way they dress, and I know that she has become a victim of ours based on her being Somali and Muslim, and mostly they come to us from the Muslim perspective, not so much Somalian, and they identify you based on what you're wearing. And so I'm here, my unit is there, we've been around for many years, we're a model unit, we're the first unit in the country to have a unit specifically to deal with hate crimes, to deal with civil rights, where victims are being targeted because of who they are, whether that's race, religion, sexual orientation. And so we've been around for a long time, and we're here. I have some brochures here. They're not actually in Somalian, but we can work on trying to get these translated so that you can have them for your community, so you understand whether you're a victim of, whether it's a physical attack or whether somebody is attacking your property, if there's property damages, and it comes to us. So at the end, I guess if you have any questions, we're good.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Marka hore waan salaamayaa dhammaantiin. Marka labaad waxaan salaamayaa soo dhaweynayaa gacmo furan ee martida sharafta leh ee ka socota amniga booliiska inagala soo qayb qaadashay ayagana waa salaamayaa. Waxaan hadalkayga ku dheeraan maayo. Waxaan rabaa inaan halkan ka sheego laba kelmadood. Marka hore waxaan leeyahay wax walba waxa lagu gaaraa wada shaqeyn weeye. Haddii la wada shaqeeyo oo dadku wada shaqeeyaan, shaqadana looma abuurin, booliiskana looma abuurin keligood. Muxuu ahaa community haddaan nahay ururkan cultural kana matalaysa deeqana looma abuurin. Waxaa loo abuuray qof walba inuu wax ka qabto, waxna ka maartay talaabo ka qaado. Marka waxaa weeye waxaan leeyahay booliiska. waxaan marka hore aan idin leeyahay waxaan nahay annagu shacabkii community Somaliga nahay. Maadaama aan community Somalida nahay, waxaan annagu idin la shaqeyn karnaa markaan aragno muxuu ahaa madaxa ururkan haatan muxuu ahaa isha noo asaasay iyo booliisku wada shaqeynaya markaan aragno shaqaduna ay dhab ka tahay markaan aragno annaga shacabkaana waa la shaqeyn karnaa. waana ballan inaan idin la shaqeyno intay karaankayaga. Marka waxaan leeyahay marka hore wada xiriir fiican waa inaad yeelataan booliisku iyo haddii ala idin ilmo muxuu ahaa isha iyo community-ga ma ahane muxuu ahaa ururka cultural. sidaas darteed marka taas la helo annaguna waa shaqeynaynaa. ilaahay subxaana qaadirkaana wuu nagu garabgelayaa, waan nala qabanayaa hawsha aan qabanayno. marka waxaa weeye booliiska waxaan leeyahay nala shaqeeya, na caawima. ilmahan aad arkaysaan waa ilmihii ayagoo yaryar dowladda Mareykanka ee ka soo qaaday xeryaha oo ay ka soo badbaadisay gaajada, dabka, dhibaatada, mashaakilka taasoo danaqaday oo ay dareentay dowladda Mareykanka kuna soo qaaday muxuu ahaa isha kuna keenta halkan saas darteed inay wax in taraan adinka annagana waxna taraan bay ahayd inay lulmaan waa nagu qasaaro annagoo dhan marka waxaan leeyahay ilmaha nagala shaqeeya nala shaqeeya waan soo dhaweynaa mahadsantiin.
Hi officer, I have seen so many communities that the guys have called you and this kind of situation that we have today here. I have seen so many youths that are bailed out for some reasons, 10,000, 15,000. When they got out bailed, the kids had started from where they have beginning. Those kind of kids, they need a special attention. Example, jobs, sports, or some kind of like therapists, special therapists. What's the use of get out of the jail while they are starting from where they had begun before? So I'm asking city, those kind of kids, they have to create something kind of like special attention.
And we like I said, we're not going to need, you know, like a quick fix. It's got to be involvement. We will put 100% behind the involvement. We need to get involved. We are ready to get involved. I live in Cambridge. I'm a union organizer, by the way. You know, I know how to organize people. I will organize the Boston Somali community. I will organize. I'm 100% behind that. We need to do that our part, but we need good programs. It's not going to be like that. My sister talked about when the people come out. This is the Boston, you know, the Boston city. Mayor Walsh, I think I saw you Thursday morning in East Boston. I saw you. I was there when he was with Boston Police Youth Enrichment Program. We were talking about that. I was there, and a lot has been going on, and a lot will happen. But we are here to work with you. But I want to see the next recruitment. I would say that. I want to see the next recruitment a Somalian police officer, please. That's what we're. Thank you very much.
I think you bring up a good point. The first step is recognizing there is a problem, and I think we can all say that we've done that today. Now we need to get together, form a committee, and take next steps. I agree with you. This isn't going to happen like that. It's going to take a long time, but we're in it together. You're in it 100%. We're going to be in it 100%. We all have to do it together.
Amen.
I will bring up to the police commissioner as far as Somali male, female getting onto the Boston Police Department and examine, is there a gap? Is there something missing there? Obviously, if people have taken the civil service exam, we have to find out where they've fit on the list, basically. I'll bring that up to the commissioner as far as getting somebody into the police force.
Thank you. Yusuf, that was a great question. They got it. They want to be engaged. We want to be engaged. Going forward, we'll follow up as an organization. We'll work together to make Boston more stronger for every one of us.